Hello, welcome to Die Rolling. I'm the ever excitable Adam, and you can see I'm not on my own today. I'm actually joined by somebody else. Who is this charismatic stallion, you ask? Well, who are you, sir?
Hello, my name's Mark. I run Airecon, I guess. Yeah.
Airecon. Now, by aircon, you don't mean some form of like cooling system for your house. Airecon is an absolutely massive board gaming convention in Harrogate. As well as you guys, you kind of tour as well. You have a couple of other ones through the year, right?
Yeah. We just in the last couple of years we started AC West, which is in Telford, and then AC Northwest, which is up in Manchester.
So people who haven't seen you in person or know who you
Mhm.
are will probably not be able to tell, but I believe you are probably one of the tallest men in gaming. Would that be safe to
It's
say?
possible, yeah. I'm sure there's some that are a bit taller. I'm 6'8". So.
6'8". See, I'm 6'2". My wife would say I'm 6'1", but I identify as 6'2". And yeah, I always see you around and think, oh my word, that is impressive. So Airecon, tell us, what is Airecon?
So we like to call it an analog gaming festival, which is a phrase we came up with randomly years and years ago when we first started. I think we were trying to find a term that encompassed the joy that tabletop games can bring. We went with analog because when we first started out, we did some things where you still played them on a screen, but you needed other players there present with you, and so we were kind of like, well, it's not all tabletop. Obviously, it's not all it's not all board games, not all card games. So it was quite hard thinking of some term that could encompass all of that. So yeah, it's really just a celebration of all things tabletopish.
And when is Airecon, the big one in March?
So that's coming up pretty soon, 13th to the 16th of March in Harrogate. Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
And another question, why is Airecon?
It's because my wife went on a hen do. So so we're coming up to 10 years since it's the first one I ran, and this will be because of COVID and various other things. This will actually also be Airecon 10, celebrating 10 years, which normally doesn't happen that way. Um, but yeah, she went away for a weekend long hen do. That seems to be the thing to do these days. And I thought, well, I'll run a mini convention in my house, not really expecting it to become anything. That one's now known as Aircon Zero. And so at the time, I had a look around how other conventions got their names, and I looked at Gen Con, and that's named after Lake Geneva, and where the Gen comes from. And so I was like, oh, well, what bodies of water are near my house? And I live in Aireborough, near the River Aire in Leeds, and so that's. And then I thought it was a funny pun at the time as well. Not expecting it to grow as large as it has done. I thought it's stupid name, but it's a name.
Well, it's a great name and a good story there. And honestly, I didn't know Gen Con was called Gen Con because of Lake Geneva. So
Yeah.
there's a new thing for me to learn today. So one thing I've been going the past couple of years. Absolutely love coming to this convention. There's two conventions I come to in the UK, which is your convention, Aircon, and also the UK Games Expo. And what I really enjoy about Aircon is it kind of feels like it's UK Games Expo, but like the kind of reversed version of it. Because UK Games Expo, you've got three huge halls, and it's all about kind of seeing the latest games and being sold to or to buying loads of stuff. And then there's a little element of playing games with it. Whereas this other way around, there's still exhibitors and stuff, and some really interesting things I've seen there over the years. But also, it's more about actually getting together with friends and kind of gaming.
Mhm.
I've got quite a few gaming groups I go to, and Twilight Imperium doesn't really hit the table because you're of a certain age, you've got kids, you've got things, stresses and work life and
Sure.
stuff. So I think Aircon is a fantastic time to actually pull out those really big games that you wouldn't normally get a chance to play with your friends, especially when you've got a couple of days in a row where you can just do solid gaming. Um,
Yeah.
for those people who don't have a big gaming group, who are who want to get involved with the board gaming community. Um, what do you have in place? It's kind of a loaded question. I kind of know what you have in place, but I'd like you to explain. So yeah, what do you have in place for? So let's say I turned up and I was like, I don't really have any friends, which is quite sad and
Yeah.
true. How do I go about playing games at Aircon?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of different things we've introduced over the years. We're always kind of looking at how we can help people find others to game with. Originally, it started off, we had little flags that you put on your table, which seem to have become quite common at a lot of different events. But we found as we grow, they were quite hard to see them. And so at one point, we went to helium balloons, which was quite a sight. All these balloons popping up all over to let people know we're playing the game. We've got some spaces. If you want to come and join us, you're welcome. We then found out that helium was really bad for the environment shortly after we're using helium. So we kind of looked around for something else and I found these lightsabers and I've attached them all to like little table stand things. So as you go around the halls, you'll see these light up lightsabers, or I guess that's probably sort of trademarked, isn't it? Light up wands,
Laser
swords.
swords.
Um, so if you see some of them stuck on the tables, that means someone's about to start a game or has a game set up. They're looking for players, and then we kind of also have the reverse of that, which is stickers people can put on, sort of saying, "I'm a gamer. Please invite me to play games with you." That kind of thing. We have an online system which we called the game system, and it did stand for something at one point, but I've forgotten what it is. It's like games something market something. Anyway, game system, and that's as well as that's the place that you can check out our library. So we've got a library of over 1,000 games now, and also where you can look at the bring and buy that we have and load your games onto the bring and buy if you've got stuff you want to sell. It also has a section which is the game finder system, and so you can browse that if people have set up games at certain times, and you can sign up to games in advance so you know what you're doing and roughly where they are. There's also options on there if they're willing to teach the game, have new players play the game, so you can know all that in advance, what expansions they might be playing with and all of that. It sets up a meeting place. There's a little messaging system on there as well if anything changes or if maybe the game's not going to go ahead, something like that. So we have that, and then we also have the game seekers area, which is kind of almost right in the middle of the convention in Hall B, quite near the library, and that is being staffed by the team from the Herefordshire board gamers who do a lot of work around kind of inclusion and things like that. And so they're going to be running that, and you can just turn up there at any point. They'll play a game with you, or they'll draw in other people that might be around to play a game with you. They'll be running some set sessions on every odd hour of some specific games, but you can just turn up at any time. They also have the giant games that they bring with them, which is like a giant version of Suro and things like that. And Hey, That's My Fish, I think is their all. So yeah, lots of stuff going on.
And it's also I know that social gaming. Blood on the Clock Tower. I'm just going to mention this briefly. Blood on the Clock Tower is obviously something that's become bigger as the years have come on. Coming from Mafia and Werewolf, and then coming into this kind of bigger thing. I would say that I think a lot of people have asked me, "Oh, what's it like? Oh, how do I get involved in Blood on the Clock Tower?" And I noticed that over the years that there's quite a few people actually running sessions of Blood on the Clock Tower at Airecon. So I think another great little kind of feather in your cap for Airecon is the fact there's so many things like Blood on the Clock Tower is something you might not know anybody locally who could do that. But using a game system or just rocking up and trying to see if they've got a space or stuff, there's quite a few different things you can try. So if you've never tried role-playing games, for instance, there's a whole list of event schedules you can go and you can book onto these role-playing groups, and no experience necessary in some cases. And yeah, Blood on the Clock Tower as well is something that if you've never tried and you really want to try that because you watch Traitors and you're like, oh, it's it's similar to that apparently, then you can try that out. I believe, are you doing more of that this year? Is there more of a focus on some of that?
Yeah, so we've managed to open up some bits of space that, because a lot of those types of games, playing them around a table can be a little bit restrictive in terms of if you want to get up and discuss something with someone and things like that, it can be a bit trickier. So we've put 3 dedicated areas in. One of them is just sort of open and free for anyone to use. It's right behind the library, as long as no one else is obviously using it. Just jump in, or I'm sure people will be booking things on the game system that you can sign up to go in there. We then have 2 private spaces upstairs in the Queen Suite, so it's a bit kind of out of the halls. It's not quite as noisy and bustly. We have put a small £10 charge on them just to secure the room, because it's obviously it's quite a big investment for us to have those spaces up there. But yeah, there's 2 rooms up there. I think one of them is actually already booked out completely for weekends. So keep an eye out for that one. The other one, there's still some spaces left in.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And you've mentioned the library a couple of times. Now, I assume you're not talking about some place you can get lots of books from. What is the library?
Yeah, it's our board game library that we partner with Travelling Man in Leeds, and so over the years it's had massive investment in it. I think when we first started out, we maybe had 400 games, 300 to 400 games that they use in one of their shops. And over years, through people sending in the games or us buying new games for it, which is always one of my favourite days of the year. I go to the Travelling Man warehouse with a budget and just buy loads of games, which is always
amazing.
really fun. Yeah, it's like guilt-free spending. It's amazing. So now we're well over 1,000 games in there that you can borrow for free, and learn them on the spot, or maybe if it's one that you've not played for a while, grab it out of the library. We just ask people to register a phone number so we can contact you if you. It's been out for 3 days.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I'd say as well, I think the library's has a pretty good selection in there, because I recall, I think just before Heat, just after Heat came out, you guys had it in your library, and I remember going in and just seeing people just running to try and get a copy of Heat quickly. So I think you've got quite a decent amount of options in there as well. And like you say, like 1,000 odd games, there's going to be something for most people, if not everyone, in there.
Yeah, for sure. And it's the Heat year actually had us introduce something to the system where you can set up alerts for certain games. So like Heat, people always like, I kept missing it every time I got checked back in. So you can set up an alert if it's a game that you're interested in that gets put back into the library and checked back in. You'll get a little notification email saying, it's back in, go, go, go. It's really hard, especially with these games that are really in demand, for us to get enough copies in the year that they come out to make sure there's plenty for everyone. There's a couple of challenges around it. One is often the publisher or the shops don't have stock of it. And secondly, it's then what do we do with it the year after when it's no longer so hot? So we buy 20 copies of Heat, and then next year it's like, we only need one. What we're going to do with these other 19 that have been played like 100 times in 1 year, but then don't really need to be played again. So it is a bit tricky balancing that, but we try and get a good selection in. There's, like I said, there's always usually something for everyone.
Exactly. And so it's not all gaming. There's also different events on and stuff. So what kind of like events are on this year that people could go and check out?
Yeah, lots of kind of different types of events. We try and always revolve them around kind of fun and just enjoying things that are going on. So we have a lot of what we call, for some reason we called them mega games. 1 year it stuck, but they're not the mega games that people might be familiar with that last 3 days. And it's just a normal game, and we make a mega version of it. So it's things like Just One, where we play it with 100 people all playing the same game at the same time. We've done it with Draftosaurus, number 9. There's a new one this year, which is Flip 7, which is quite a fun new little pushy luck game. So we'll have some copies of that to play a really big version of it with hopefully 70 people is what we're aiming for. And we usually put some little small twists in there as well to make it slightly different. We have lots of evening entertainment on, people doing live D&D shows. We've got people at Oxventure coming, stuff like that. We've got Jolly Boat, which I believe they're in the top 3 of the UK's pirate comedy rock duos, somewhere up there. Pirate comedy nerd rock duos. Yeah, top 3 or 4, I'd say. But that's always a really fun way to end off. They always play sort of Saturday night, and so it's always really fun. Like last evening, go and watch them. It's a free show as well, so they're always really good. We have a bunch of seminars and other things. We've got Tim Clare. Last year, he did a seminar on the history of cards, and like playing cards, and this year he's doing the history of dice. And it's from what I've heard, it's very interesting. So that's a really good one. We've got Rosie from Rosie's Cozy Board Games. She's doing an interview with Kimjoy, who people may have remembered from Bake Off, but she's also an avid board gamer. Last year they were talking about cozy games. This year they're going to be talking about critterful games. So games with lots of critters in, things like that. We have a bunch of tournaments going on. So we've got a Star Wars Unlimited tournament happening. Hachette are doing a Scout tournament, which should be really fun. We've got Hive. The Hive are also celebrating a big anniversary, so they're doing a Hive tournament. We have a Sumo tournament, which is Sumo's two-player card game. It's going to be, as much as we can, replicating an actual Sumo tournament where it's just you play one-on-one a bunch of different games, 15 different games. Each one's less than 5 minutes. So that should be lots of fun. Yeah, so plenty of stuff going on. Then there's some other things that happen as well. We've got a bunch of people that go and do the park run on Saturday morning before we open the halls. It's all on the events page on the website.
Lovely. And if you're not doing events or playing board games, is there a chance you could have something to eat? What's the food options at Airecon?
Yeah, always lots of tasty food. So we have the Studio 2 food hall, which is all indoor this year. In the last couple of years, we have had some trucks out on the road, but health and safety tightening up means we've had to move them all inside, but it's nice. It's a big hall with loads of tables in that you can sit and eat. You don't have to try and eat one-handed while still playing the game inside. So yeah, there's a lot of the sort of normal stuff you'd expect to find: pizzas, burgers, hot dogs. I think they're doing hot pork sandwiches for the first time this year. Loaded chips. We've got poutine, which is always a highlight for me, and the crepes from Madame Crepe. Monster crepes full of lots of sweet stuff. Sticky Beaks, who do kind of slow roasted stuff like meat, but also they have vegan options. I think they jackfruit they use, maybe tofu, and then Eat Dutch Lekker, who do sort of Dutch inspired food. So yeah, lots of tasty food, and they can all kind of cater to most diets and intolerances.
Excellent. Wow. I know from previous years, I've not actually had the poutine, but all the other like Instagrammers and the content creators are like, oh, have you tried the poutine? So I think this year I've got to kind of check that box off really. Here's a question, and this is something that you may want to keep under your hat, or it might be something you don't know, but I think you probably are the guy who can help me out with this. So each year I've noticed between two of the toilets there is a miniature door there, a very small door, a door you probably couldn't get through because of your height clearance. Do you know what is behind that door?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what's behind the door?
No. Yeah. I'll tell you, it's similar to. Have you seen the original Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory?
Yeah, of course,
the original one, the Gene Wilder. And there's a bit right at the start where he opens a tiny door and then it opens up into the chocolate fountain hall thing.
Yep.
It's something similar to that, but I can't tell you exactly
what. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough then. You keep your secrets. Okay. So the next thing I'd like to do is, have you ever heard of a game called Shot in the Dark?
I have not.
It's a really horrible card game where you basically have some very hard questions to answer, and it's a shot in the dark. You might know this from some random knowledge you have from whenever, but I'm going to just say A or B, and then I'm going to quiz you on 5 of these questions, and then the other people I have from my road to Airecon, I will also quiz them on a random question, and we'll see who comes out top. So A or B?
I'm going to go B.
Okay, that's B. Okay, so my first question is, what is the fastest over 100 meter time recorded by someone aged over 100 years old? So what is the fastest ever 100 meter time recorded by someone aged over 100 years old?
I'm going to go with 24 seconds.
Oh, my word, you're so close. It's 26.99. That's so close. I'm tempted to give you that, but it wasn't 24. So it was set by Donald Pellman, just in case you wanted to know. He also holds Masters Athletics world records in the long jump, high jump, discus, shot put, and javelin. Close, but no cigar mark. Right, the next one. How many litres of vodka does the average Russian drink per year? It's in litres.
A year?
Yes.
In litres. 302.
It's 14. So I guess it depends which part of Russia they're canvassing here.
I was doing milliliters.
Okay, okay, sure, sure, sure.
Oh,
In which year was the last person in Britain convicted of witchcraft?
oh, I feel like this. I heard this, and I feel like it's a lot later than you think it is.
Okay.
I'm sure it's like 1927 or something like that.
1944. Very close. A Scottish medium claimed to have predicted the sinking of a Royal Navy ship during World War II and performed a seance with a drowned sailor, so was arrested for witchcraft. Okay, we're on to the last two questions now. So, prior to 2018, when was the last time that England progressed further than Germany in the FIFA World Cup?
Mm, 92,
It's 1966.
94, 66. Wow,
66.
not very good.
And finally, in total, over their career, which artist or band has spent the most time at the top of the UK singles chart?
U2.
It was Elvis Presley. He holds
Oh,
the
okay.
record with 80 weeks at the top of the charts, ahead of the Beatles in second place, who've topped the charts for 69 weeks. So,
Okay.
0 points there, Mark. But it was completely out of the blue. And Shot in the Dark is always really, really horrible thing to ask people because they're so random. Here's another question for you, which is not related to Shot in the Dark. Board game wise, what is your favourite board game?
Ooh, it's tough. I kind of always go with that. I probably have a top three because
Do
it
a
depends on
do
who
a
I'm playing
three,
with.
yeah.
Yeah, who I'm playing with and situation. So I'd put Ticket to Ride would go up there. Um, and then I really like Brew Crafters as a slightly heavier game, heavy Agricola type, but beer, and I really like craft beer, so that's always up. And then probably Castell because it's one that I really enjoy, but it seemed to not. It kind of went a bit under the radar, so I like playing that with people and showing them in this excellent game.
Okay. And do you get a chance to play games at Airecon?
Not really. So not during the event when we're kind of open. I occasionally do in the hotel afterwards, usually on a Sunday night, and my brain's fried, and people are trying to throw rules at me. I'm going, oh, well, what did we play last year? We tried to play that Order Overload, like an oink. We got a. It's like a memory thing, and just like
Yeah,
no, this
I
isn't
played that with Matt from the Offline Gamer. That's the one where you just have all these orders coming through. You got to remember where they are. Yeah, that is. Yeah, and I used to work in a cafe, so I was like, oh, I've got this. I'm gonna ace this. And I was like, no, I have no clue where we are with this. But
Yeah, I
no.
got some special like Essen edition where they use games instead, but it's games from like Oink, Itten, and Sarti, I think. And so it's like the harder thing is like there's a bunch of games I've never heard of. Some of their older titles. It's like now I have to remember what the game was called and was it in this order or not. And also, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Mark. I cannot honestly wait until Airecon. So remind everyone, when are the dates for Airecon again?
13th to the 16th, and we would say that if you're looking at coming, including the Saturday in your visit, to probably book that sooner rather than later. We're about 25% up on attendees from last year, and we haven't got enough tickets to kind of accommodate everyone. But even if we only sold the same amount, so yeah, I would suggest going and grabbing them if you want to come on the Saturday.
Perfect. I'll put a link below in the comments where you can follow that and get tickets of your own. But yeah, Mark, thank you so much for your time today. I look forward to spotting you as I go around the halls, just looking up for you somewhere. And I'll be trying to get it through that miniature door. Try to find what's through there at some point. But yeah, thank you so much for your time today. I've been the ever excitable Adam. Until next time, guys, stay safe or die rolling.